Hello Libra, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Libra is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Libra, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And, we got the death card. Don't freak out. The death card is not a bad card. It gets a bad rap, right, because it looks kind of scary. It's the card of change, yeah? It's the card of transformation. It's the card of evolution. It is not an evil card by any means, This is the card that's saying, change is happening slowly but surely. It is the force of nature, the fundamental force of the universe. It is the nature of nature. And hey, we kind of match today. It's slow and steady change over the course of time. Your life is changing, not abruptly all at once, but slowly and steadily. Maybe in ways that you don't even perceive. It's kind of like you go to the gym every day, and every day you go home, you look in the mirror and you think, I don't look any different. But if you look back where you were a few months ago, huge change. But just in the moment, in the daily grind, we're not really seeing things happening. But when we step back and see the bigger arc of our lives, we see just how far we've come. Okay? So I wonder if this is, where you are in this journey. Let's find out with a little bit of context. Yeah, it could be endings. It could be you're getting to the end of a cycle here. 10 of, okay. All right, I feel like there is, there's a lot of good things coming. 2 of Pentacles, change, Empress energy, 6 of Swords, and a Queen of Pentacles. Very good. 10 of Swords now. Interesting. A Chariot, a Queen of Swords, and a Princess of Swords. Wow, that 10 of Swords is interesting to me because this feels like a birdcage. It feels like this is something that, I think you're ready for the old phase to end and for the new phase to begin. You're ready to shed that skin. You're ready to shed the outgrown garment that you wear. You're ready to leave behind anything, all the stuff that you've outgrown. You're molting, right? You're shedding that skin, and I think that is a wonderful and beautiful thing. Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down right over here with our little Tibetan prayer wheel right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments right below the video. Now, as we look around the room, we see 1, 2, 3 majors. We don't see any fire, do we? No fire. We've got water right here. This is the water that we need, that we've been searching for in all of this air, 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 and the earth. So, right, the air and the earth kind of feels like you've been sticking to the plan. You've been following the directions diligently. You've been just doing the work. This is what they said to do. I'm there every day. I'm doing it. I don't know if it's working. I can't see. I look in the mirror. I look the same. I'm gonna keep following the plan because they said that this was the plan, right? And I think you're coming to that point now where you realize that you have successfully transformed your life in this way, that it's kind of like it's time for you now to enjoy the meal that you cooked. You followed the recipe, but you're just saying, I don't know, they want how much salt? Okay, well, that's what the recipe calls for. Dump it all in. And then I feel like now is really that moment that you realize that, holy cow, like it worked, like everything is aligning for you right now. I feel like this is the culmination of a long and difficult journey for you. I feel like you have been giving, bleeding, sweating, crying for this work, and now you're realizing that you're getting the payout, you're getting the return on that investment. Yeah. Anyway, so we've got our majors. We have no fire. We've got finally some good water. But let's talk about this death card. Because, the death card can be an ending. It could be saying that, look, there was a process that you were involved in, a transformation that was long and tedious, and maybe it felt like it was very slow. It was a gradual transformation, but now something's ending. That turbulent period, maybe, right, is over. That slow grind, We're honoring that by letting it go, by saying, okay, it's like you've been squeezing the orange for a long time, and it's just like you're realizing now, oh, wow, my cup is full. I got a full glass of orange juice now, and that's kind of like we're getting to that goal that maybe you thought you would never arrive at. Okay. Whatever's happening here, there's a shedding of an old skin. There's the setting down of those tools that we've been using. We don't need to use them anymore. We're honoring it by kind of letting it be over. Yeah. You're not losing anything that's meant to stay. I feel like this is, it was kind of the investment. You've been putting a lot of energy into something. And I feel like rather than it seeming like a waste of time or seeming like you've been putting energy into something that wasn't worth it, I feel like you've been like you're the orange, You've been squeezing yourself for a long time, and it's time now to finally like just restore your energy, to just like bring things, like appreciate how far you've come and realize what you've accomplished. Yeah. A new chapter is going to begin here. I feel like you're sort of crossing that threshold. Yeah. I feel like you're kind of being reborn now. I feel like the season of suffering and sacrifice, the season of kind of overexerting yourself or overgiving, is now kind of shifting into a period of receiving, into a period of abundance. This is a card that really, if you look at it, kind of looks like we're reaping what we've sown. And that's a good thing in this case, because what you're reaping now is going to be love. What you're reaping is joy and pleasure and family and all those rewards. This 10 of Cups satiety. You're reaping enough that you're gonna have more than enough to eat. This is the card of going to the buffet and eating your fill of all your favorite things, to the point where you're just sitting there in the booth, you're thinking, I'm content. I am satisfied. I don't need anything else right now. This is perfect. I don't want for anything in this moment. This is emotional harmony. This is love. This is completion. This is your emotional world, like finding balance, where love is flowing, relationships feel easier. This is you feeling at home in your own life. Okay? And this is you letting life feel satisfying, letting yourself feel content and peaceful and satisfied and full, if only for a moment. As you sharing your affection, and this is it coming back, that you've invested your energy into something, and now this is where it gets to come back to you, and you get to feel restored. Okay? This is emotional fulfillment. You're savoring this moment. You're savoring the emotional stability right now that you've cultivated in your life. The Death card really is the harvester. The one who's now kind of reaping what we've sown. And it's time now to reap that harvest. It's time for you to take your fill of what you need. I think this is absolutely perfect energy. And I think it's been whatever you're doing in life, whether it's at work, at home, at school, I feel like it's been a long process. And like you've been building the house, or you've been like renovating the house, or you've been like, I don't know, putting in new cabinets in the kitchen or something. It's just taken forever. It's finally like, wow, hey, like it's almost done. Like we're here. I could finally now enjoy like my kitchen or something, and it may be that there's still more to do. You got to do the floors now, or you're gonna do the bathroom next, or whatever. But this is a moment to really, really celebrate. Yeah, this slow, gradual change. It's not an overnight change. It's not a Tower card. The Tower card is the other change card, but it's like abrupt. The Death card is slow, almost imperceptible change. And Spirit wants you right now to stop and look back at where you started and look at where you are now, so that you can see just how much you have changed, or your life has changed, or maybe your relationship or your finances or whatever it might be. So that you can appreciate that and you can feel it and you can let yourself pause for a minute. See the Two of Pentacles here under the surface. This is you juggling so much. That we're so wrapped up in the day-to-day spinning of the plates, the day-to-day, juggling act that you're doing, that you sometimes don't realize what it's all for, or what you've actually done. Yeah, like somebody that is focused on their work and is not paying attention to how much progress they're actually making, or how productive they've been, or what kind of life that they've created. It's just, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep juggling. I've got to keep pedaling the bicycle. It's like, no, just let the bicycle coast. Look behind you a little bit and see how far away you've already gotten. It's like you're cool. You can ease down now, Ripley. And maybe that's why we have no fire. Spirit wants you to slow down and just say, look, you don't have to juggle everything so much right now. This is that card of getting in the flow, of always the schedule shifting around, the priorities shifting around. You're staying very flexible. You're staying very adaptive. You're making adjustments. You're being proactive. You're making those changes. You're reorganizing things, trying to be efficient. And, I feel like this is kind of just a moment to step back and be able to see the bigger picture of this evolution, this transformation that you've been going through. That would explain why the Queen of Swords is in the position of what we don't want, or the position of the fear, right? Because this is that card of like putting down your stuff, drop your spatulas, and drop your cooking utensils and take a step back and just look at the bigger picture. That's what this card's all about. To try to get that bird's eye view of life, so we can see the starting point and then where we are now, and we can think, damn, like I've come a long way. Maybe I still got more to go, sure, but damn, we've made a lot of progress already. We've got a lot of miles behind us. Yeah. It's not easy for you to do that, because I think you're so immersed in I got to keep going. I have so much stuff. I'm like, you're juggling all these things. Okay. But I think we need to just kind of enjoy ourselves, or we need to we need to take a step back, and we need to observe our progress and allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to feel good. Allow yourself to sample the gumbo. Yeah. And I think that kind of leads us over to our Empress card. Because the Empress card is literally feeding life from its own blood, sweat, and tears, right? Like the pelican that we see in the corner feeds its young from its own lifeblood, you know. And that really is the ultimate, like, you know, self-sacrifice. The Empress may not know this. It may not be kind of popular on other channels or whatever, but the Empress is a very self-sacrificial card. I think a lot of people see the Empress and they just think, well, this is abundance, this is harvest, this is just kind of sensuality. Yeah, I mean, it implies that we need that. Because really the Empress is the one that gives like a mother that's pregnant with a child. And that process of gestating that child is taking so much resource from the mother, right? It's taking all of your blood, all your nutrients, all the vitamins, literally taking the calcium from your bones to give it to the baby, right? And that's so illustrative of this Empress card, because that's what I think in this position of your spread, this is what you've been doing with your life. You've been feeding, you've been giving this process of transformation. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it is a birth. Maybe it is your own rebirth or your own transformation or the transformation of your life or the growth of a business or a family or something like this. You've been feeding it from your own resources. You've been paying for it out of pocket, basically, right? Your own blood, sweat, and tears have been going into this. And I think that you're just about squeezed dry. Thankfully, this thing is alive and born, and its blood is pumping, and it's going to take care of you. So you've been, I mean, and this is, God, this is like, I almost want to cry here. This is really with almost no concern to yourself. And I don't know if this has to do with parent-child relationships or if it has to do with even just a romantic relationship even. It could be this is your relationship to your family, where you're gonna pay for it all out of pocket. You're gonna feed it from your own resources until you run dry. If you have it, it's being offered. You know. It makes me tear up, because we don't encounter too many people like this that are willing to do that. To my own detriment, I'm willing to give somebody else the shirt off my back, the shoes off my feet. Whatever I have that I can put into this, I am. Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's your personal growth, your spiritual growth. Maybe it's to assist somebody else or the family or the house, or like your restaurant. You put every dime you have into your restaurant. You sold all your favorite things from home to put into the restaurant. You ever watch that Kitchen Nightmares show? Love that show. It breaks my heart. Those people, they will sacrifice everything just to keep that restaurant going. Just to keep it going. And I think even when you're squeezed completely dry, and then we have that death card, and to me it doesn't mean that, oh, you just got to close the doors, file bankruptcy, get rid of the restaurant. No, I feel like what you're doing is you're building something up. You're feeding it from your own flesh, your own flesh and blood, your own blood, sweat, and tears, and it's being born. Okay? You were sowing seeds, and now it's time to harvest that crop. Yeah. And so the Empress card is about self-care. It is about receiving. It's saying it's time for you to nourish yourself now, because you've been depleted. You're squeezed like that old orange, and it's just time to like reinflate. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a sponge that's just been squeezed, and now it's time for you to soak up all the good stuff. Yeah, soak up all the good stuff and restore and make yourself whole again, because you deserve it. You've earned it. So whatever you're doing, I think, is really paying off now, and it's time for it to take care of you as much as possible. You got to nourish yourself. You got to take care of your body. You got to let yourself receive help and love and support and compliments. Okay? You've got to be made whole again, because you're not going to be able to keep sacrificing yourself for something else if there's nothing left in you. Okay? So we're saying yes to what's going to restore you. I'm getting my eyes are starting to tear up. I think that your heart is going to be full again. Okay. And I think it's time for what you've been nourishing to now nourish you. Yeah. Because with the Ten of Swords, it feels like you're really getting to the point where there's not much left. And I don't know if we're talking financially or health or just energetically. You're squeezed too much where it's kind of like we're just kind of feeling kind of dried up here. Maybe it's kind of like the money's dried up, or your energy is dried up, or your will has dried up. Well, what we've got with that Ten of Cups now is everything is sort of reinflating. Yeah. And the Six of Swords is the plan. I think that as much as you've felt you've been squeezed, and as much as you've been juggling, you just tried to stick to what you believed was the right plan. You stayed on course. You navigated. You followed the template that you believed in, or that you were given, or I don't know where that sort of plan comes from. But the Six of Swords is clarity. It's a mental alignment. It is a map. Okay? And I think that no matter how you felt emotionally, you tried to stick to this plan. You tried to stick to the structure. You tried to believe in the logic. Okay? You tried to continue to navigate, steering toward what made sense, doing things the way that you thought was the proper way, or that, we're being given the instructions here. And it's like you ordered one of those bookshelves on Amazon, and it just arrives in a bunch of pieces, and the bag's full of screws. Every time I see that bag of screws, like nuts and bolts, I'm thinking, oh gosh, like this is going to be bad. And you try to follow the instructions. Sometimes they're not very well written. Sometimes the drawings, I can't make sense of it. You do your best, though. And I think that you're to that point where you're just about ready to give up. I think that it's going to click. I think things are aligning for you. And I think that the bookshelf's going to come together. Finally, you get it. And you realize, oh, hey, the bookshelf's done. I can put my books on it. I can enjoy the bookshelf finally. Okay? So, this is a quiet trust. And I think that this is probably felt very emotionally tangled up, or even emotionally drained, let's say. But trying to stick to that plan. Trying to stick to follow the instructions. Okay. What you're doing, still makes sense. You still believe in it, even though you feel like you kind of, all the juice has been drained out of something. But this is also the beautiful mind moment where I think the image that you have in your head, your inner reality, is now going to match the outer reality. That something's clicking. Something clicks together. Okay. So you've been following that path, and I think it's leading you now to this Queen of Pentacles, which to me is basically an Empress card, right? It's water and earth, just as I say that my Empress is kind of a combination of water and earth. This is a card of now comfort, receiving comfort and nourishment, being at home Taking care of your body, taking care of your space, maintaining your environment the way you want it to be. All the things that the Empress was doing for something else, on the other side of this now you're receiving. So over here, you're squeezing your juice out into this process of change, trying to change something. That's really all the Death card means, something's changing. You squeezed all your juice out into this to cause change. And now this thing has got all the juice, and now you're kind of taking that juice back. Now it's feeding you. Okay? So the Empress is the expression of energy, or the exertion, and then the Queen of Pentacles is receiving. So this is you taking healthy, nourishing meals. This is you receiving the financial return, so to speak. Receiving all the good vibes. Okay? This is you feeling supported and grounded, and you're starting to heal, and you're starting to thrive, and you're looking back at the past. You're looking at the long and winding road that you were traveling. You see that's the spiral road back there. That's the long and winding road of twists and turns and ups and downs, right? The emotional roller coaster, as well as the physical detours and all these roadblocks and closed roads and potholes and speed bumps and all the rest of it. Looking back at that life, and really to me it feels like you're saying it was worth it. I was pulling my hair out. I was ready to just smash the whole thing. I was ready to quit. I was ready to go ballistic, but it was worth it. It was worth it. And this is now you feeling like it's worth it because there's a return on that investment. Okay. And I think that it's rewarding to you in more ways than just physical. So it may be money, but I think it's a matter of of love, and devotion that you have for whatever this path, whatever this change is that you're trying to facilitate. Okay? It's time for you now to nurture yourself the way that you've been nurturing everything else. So you're choosing that. Your life is now becoming what you need it to be for you. Okay? And you're making decisions now that are protecting your well-being. This is not a self-sacrificial card. This is kind of a self-preserving card. It's a card that says you've sacrificed enough. It's time for you to heal and rest, make yourself whole, build yourself up, get your strength back, fill your cup. And now this is a situation that whatever change you've been working toward now, it's really filling your cup. This is a blessing. Absolutely. The dream life is coming true. This is the picture perfect life. This is the dream life. This is how you want your life to feel. And now I want you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And leave a comment for me. Let me know which card on the path of the dove resonates with you the most. Okay? We're going to do, before we do the path of the serpent, let's do an oracle of manifestation. Here we have the clear passage. You have many choices to make to move closer to your desires. I make good choices. Put that in the comments if you can. Type it out. Say, I make good choices. Because your choice has been clear, inspired, devoted choices. You've made choices. You've chosen to follow this path. Even when we're starting to feel like I've got nothing left. I got no gas in the tank. That's what this card is. I'm starving to death, or I don't have an ounce of energy. Okay? This is kind of an ending. This is a breakdown. This is the moment where we think all is lost, and suddenly the miracle happens. Suddenly the sun rises, Suddenly we're reborn now. There's a breakthrough. Something is over. That process, because of your good decisions, because of your devotion and your commitment, all of that suffering and sacrifice, all the blood, sweat, and tears is done now. You got no more to give. You've given everything that you could. And now you're being lifted up. Now you're being restored. So there's a new chapter that's beginning. It's a chapter where your cups are being filled up. Your rebirth is beginning now. Okay? I feel like the worst has passed in whatever path this was for you. Whatever change you were trying to endure, you've crossed the nadir, or the nadir, as they say, the lowest point, and now you're on your upswing. Yeah? So we've hit that bottom where I got nothing left to give. I've squeezed all the juice out of it. Okay, now we're coming back up the other side. So this, to me, kind of feels like a Wheel of Fortune moment. You know what I say about the Wheel of Fortune? It's like you've been at the bottom of the wheel, between the rubber and the road. You're at the lowest point where we're feeling the most tired we've ever been, the most depleted we've ever been. If this is rock bottom, we're in the basement, okay? It's time to go back up again. It's time to rise now. Your cups are being filled. Okay, so this is a blessing. And so it doesn't mean that this change didn't work. No, it's working, but it's been like we've passed the worst point. It's like you're renovating your kitchen. You've passed that point now where it's just as chaotic, as dirty, as dusty, as demolished as it will be. It's only going to look better from here. Okay? And that's kind of the chariot too, in a way. The chariot is fortified. The chariot kind of knows, like, this is a very challenging path. This was not an easy road by any means. But you had a devotion to it. You did not give up. You didn't quit on it. You stayed loyal. Okay? The chariot is that kind of fortification. The chariot is a hedge against entropy. No matter how bad things got, you would not let them fall apart. There's confidence here. There's also a lot of damage to your armor. You see that? They kind of look like bullet holes in the armor. And basically what that is it's your battle wounds. It's saying that this wasn't a walk in the park. You see somebody walk in the room with really shiny armor, and you think, that's someone that's never been in a battle. Like, you've got scars, and you're proud of those scars. Okay, you're wearing them like badges of honor, It's proof that you were there. You know what I mean? And so this is determination. This is your commitment. You chose that direction. You committed yourself to it. And I think you put in consistent effort. And, you're ready to now pull the car into the garage and take your fill. Okay? It's visible effort. And it's out here in your relationships, out here in the world. It's like you really were out there doing the work. Okay? And I think that you're ready now to sort of park the car and take the armor off. You're ready to receive. Again, this is kind of the giver, and this is the receiver. And it's really a transfer of energy. You see that? So the change is you putting in, it's kind of like here, you're making all these sacrifices for the sake of your future self. Isn't that cool? You made choices back here, self-sacrificial choices, for the sake of your future self. This is you in the future looking back at this process. And so I think we've hit that point now where we're from the perspective of our future self, and we're starting to see this energy coming in. You're no longer back here from the old self watching the energy leave us, right? That we've hit that point now. We've gone through the nadir, and we're on the other side of that where we're starting to look at it from this perspective. That we're identifying more with the future self that is receiving all the benefits of our past sacrifices. Give me an amen in the comments for that one. I like that. Okay? And that is the point, the nadir, the point at which we go from the death to the rebirth. And anyway, the Chariot is the one that this is kind of your vessel, your vehicle that's had to go through this process, and it has not been easy. But the greater the trial, the greater the triumph. Okay? And the charioteer is triumphant, very triumphant. Of course, with the Queen of Swords here, it's important that you take the step back and you're able to look. And you're able to see from that different perspective now. Okay? This is that card of kind of objectivity, discernment, clarity, and emotional maturity. You're able to see the situation for what it is, without illusion. Okay? You're making decisions that are going to protect your emotional well-being now. And there's definite boundaries here. And this may be like taking a step back, like actually kind of taking space, taking time away from this to kind of like to process something, you know? The queens are always looking at the past. So this is you looking at the road that you've been on and kind of understanding what you'd been through and allowing for that shift in perspective that puts you on the receiving end of all of that sacrifice from your past self, you know. And I think the Queen really, especially the Queen of Swords, kind of the turning point between past and the future. We've got to understand the past so that we can plan for the future, you know. And I think that this is kind of like the realization why, to what end and for what purpose we made so many sacrifices in our life. This is us now getting the perspective of like understanding the reason, because we're starting to receive now the benefits of that, the return on that investment. So I think that in your life, Libra, you decided to make sacrifice and live like no one else so that your future self could reap the rewards and truly live like no one else. You know, that you chose to squeeze all the juice out of yourself so that your future self could have more juice. Yeah. And then maybe it's a financial thing. Maybe it's other things too. But financially is kind of a good illustration because it's kind of like we're going to tighten our belt now and we're going to, your past self anyway had that idea. I'm going to make sacrifices now. I'm going to just, I'm going to eat ramen. I'm going to eat rice and beans. I'm going to just kind of, I'm going to go with the bare minimum. You know, I'm going to make sacrifices now. So my future self, so in a few years maybe, or whatever the timeline is, so my future self can live lavish, you know, so my future self can have more than enough of what they need. You know, we make sacrifices for the sake of our future self or the family or the even generations, beyond us, whatever the case may be. Anyway, so that's kind of like the sacrifices that we make for our future selves. Yeah. The Princess of Swords here is interesting because this is someone who is kind of like asking questions. And that's kind of an energy that's saying like we don't need to overanalyze, but we need to ask different questions. We're gathering information. Okay? So I think a big question here is, what did you learn from all of this? You know, what did you learn from the path? What did you learn from the experience that you had? And how might you be able to communicate that? Or how can you, how can you start to understand what you've been through in a way where you may start formulating this into your own sort of personal philosophy. Or I feel like this is you kind of gathering your thoughts so that you can put it down into writing, like into a book or into a presentation or into a video or into a speech or something, like this is kind of like doing the research and collecting the information, collecting the data, collecting your thoughts so that you can organize them and put them into a more formal structure. So I don't know if you're like writing or if you're planning something like that, but I feel like the experience that you had now, if you could organize your thoughts and collect all that information, you could put it into a book or a blog or a video or like a speech or a presentation or some kind of a teaching. Does that make sense? Because there's a lot of knowledge here, I feel like. And I feel like there's a lot of, a lot of wisdom that you gained through this process. And I think the world would benefit from you sharing your story. Let's look at the mystery card. I wonder if it's going to be the Hierophant, the sort of teacher, If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. I'm just going to go ahead and say it'll be the Hierophant. Let's see. Oh, Two of Swords. Two of Swords are those choices that you make good decisions. Why? Not necessarily from logic, but because of the heart. Your intuition. Your heart, your soul guided you through this path. Your mind had to stick to the plan. I got to stay organized, got to follow a specific set of instructions. But if your heart wasn't there making those choices, none of this would have happened. So this card's about how you make choices. You stuck to the plan and you chose to go step by step. Yeah, but why? How? Through heart, devotion, love, intuition, your spirit. Okay? Your spirit. Your spirit guided you to make the decisions that you did, to go through this process of transformation. And here you are, ready to, you've got your basket open, you've got your cups lined out, and you're ready to receive all the refills, So I like that, the synchronicity we have with this card. I make good choices because you trust your intuition, because you have devotion and loyalty and commitment. You trust in your spirit. Anyway, we're going to do an extended reading as well if you want to stick around. There's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Libra, Mondays and Thursdays. Be sure to watch both. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you are watching from. I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we are all in this together.